guys, welcome back to the channel where I cover missing persons, unsolved cases, crime news, and more. Alright, so we're going to get into the witnesses from day one. I did edit it down, so again, if you would like to see all 10 witnesses, there were a total of 10 state witnesses on day one of the trial. And the first witness was Juan Torres, the younger brother of Jorge Torres. Then we had an assistant manager from Publix. 911 caller was after that. Vincent, a former neighbor. Brandon, another former neighbor of Boone and Torres. Then they took their lunch. And then we had Brian Boone, which of course is Sarah's ex-husband and the father of their child. After Brian was Abraham Moreno. He's the former maintenance supervisor at the apartments where they lived, where George and Sarah lived. Then there was Deputy Kayla Rodriguez. She's the initial deputy that responded to the 911 call. After Deputy Rodriguez was Deputy John Martinez, another one that responded to the 911 call. And finally, for the witness number 10 was Melissa Roughgarden. She's a former CSI forensic biologist at the Orange County Sheriff's Office. So some of the first witnesses were just a lot of establishment, but it was definitely ended on quite a big note with the we had the 911 call in there, the body cam from Deputy Rodriguez, and of course going through the evidence, especially the suitcase. So with that said, let's get into day one witnesses.
State, you may call your first witness.
State would call Juan Torres.
Sir, good morning. You can be seated. And once seated, if you would state and spell your name for the record for us, please.
Juan Torres, Juantorres.
Thank you, sir. You may inquire, Mr. Cacciatore.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Can you tell us how it is that you know Jorge Torres?
He's my older brother.
And how many siblings do you have?
6 or 7.
And how long has your family resided here in the Central Florida area?
20 plus years.
And before residing in the Central Florida area, were you guys in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania?
Yes, sir. And Massachusetts.
Your brother, how often, your brother George, that is, how often would you talk with him?
Often we would talk, I'd say, on a weekly basis.
And how far away did you live from George?
About 5-10 minutes. Pretty close.
Would you see him pretty often?
I would try not to go there too much.
Who was George living with at the time that he passed away?
Wait, Sarah?
And without getting into many details, what was your relationship like with Sarah?
We we wouldn't really have a relationship.
Would it be fair to say you didn't get along with her?
Yes.
Back on February 23rd, 2020, did you have an occasion to talk to your brother on that day?
Yes, sir.
And when you spoke with your brother on that day, did you FaceTime with him or did you speak with him over the phone?
We talked on the phone.
Was that phone to your ear or was that phone?
It was on speaker.
And who was present?
My wife and my 2 kids.
And without telling us anything that George may have said to you, can you tell us what the topic of that conversation was?
We were just talking like we normally did. He just calling me to check on me, basically.
Now, in the background of that conversation on the evening of February 23rd, 2020, what did you hear?
Sarah's in the background yelling.
And you recognized her voice?
Yes, sir.
What was she yelling about?
Something about choking or how he choked her. I really don't. That was it.
About how long was this conversation that you had?
Maybe 10 minutes, I think it was.
How did the conversation end?
Because she was yelling in the background, so that was it. We just hung out.
Did she sound upset?
She sounded upset.
Did you talk to your brother after that conversation?
No, that was the last conversation I had.
Have you ever spoken to Sarah since that conversation?
No.
I have no further questions.
Any cross-examination?
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
In the beginning, when you started, it was hard for me to hear, but I know you were talking about other siblings, other family members that you had here. Could you repeat that for me, please?
Here in Orlando, I have one sister and 3 brothers.
Sister and 3 brothers?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, did your brother Jorge Torres, did he ever stay with you at any time?
No.
Would he ever live with you or any of, I mean, not you, but any of your other siblings?
No.
All right, sir. Let's go back to this phone call that you were talking about that was on February 23rd of 2020, and that phone call was approximately 7:30. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And who called who?
He called me.
And then y'all were talking. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And when he called you, did you notice anything about his speech or his voice?
No, he was fine.
Sounded normal?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So he wasn't slurring his words or anything like that?
No.
By the way he talked or what he talked to you about, Could you tell at that time if he had been consuming alcohol?
No, because I knew when he would drink.
Okay. So, in your opinion at that time, based on what you heard and what he was talking about, you do not believe he had been drinking alcohol?
No.
Now, you said you heard Sarah.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct? How did you know it was Sarah?
I could tell her voice.
You recognized her voice. So you could hear her. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And you've heard Sarah speak before that time. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you've heard her speak on the phone before that time. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you said that Sarah was yelling. Is that correct, sir?
Yes.
And she was yelling about, he's choking me. Or tell him about choking me.
Yes.
Okay. During that conversation, and you heard her say that, did you ask your brother, what is she talking about?
No, I did not.
Did that statement at that time, did that statement surprise you?
Not really.
You've heard it before?
No.
Based on Sarah's voice that you've heard, was it any indication to you that she had been drinking?
No.
No? Sir, at some point your brother said he had to go, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And did he hang up on the conversation?
Yes.
And did he say bye and you say bye?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. I don't have, if I can confirm.
You may, sir.
Sir, other than siblings, do your mother and father, do they live in this area?
Yes.
Were there times that George would stay with them?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. No further questions.
Battaglia, Vincent Battaglia.
Thank you. Sir, you may inquire.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Can you tell us what it is you do for a living?
Right now I work for an auto parts company,
And where do you live?
New Jersey.
Back on February of 2020, where were you living at that time?
I was living at the Tealwood Apartments in Winter Park, Florida.
And what were you doing at that time when you were living at Tealwood?
I was enrolled in Full Sail University. I was in school.
When you were living at Tealwood, did you have any roommates?
Yeah, I had one roommate, Brandon. Yeah, that was it. Them.
That's Brandon Moats.
Yes.
Did you have neighbors?
Yeah.
Were you neighbors with Sarah Boone and Jorge Torres?
Yes.
And approximately how long were you neighbors with them?
About a year. A little over a year. I moved there in January 2019.
And during the course of that year that you were neighbors with them, did you have occasion to interact with them at times?
Yeah.
In fact, did you ever go over to their home?
Yeah, like a couple times, yeah.
And I believe you tuned a guitar for the child there at the house?
Yeah.
This Tealwood apartment complex, how would you describe the walls that separated your units?
Thin, like very thin walls.
And with those walls being so thin, would you ever have occasion to hear arguing and yelling coming from Sarah Boone and George Torres's apartment?
Yeah.
How often would you hear this?
Almost daily.
Did Sarah Boone ever approach you about the things that you heard coming from their apartment?
Yes.
And where were you when she approached you?
I was smoking a cigarette on my back patio.
And approximately what time
It was
was this?
pretty late. I can't remember the exact time, but it was definitely anywhere between like midnight to 2 a.m., like right around there.
And do you remember how much before the date when the police called that this occurred?
A few months, like probably 4 to 5 months before that.
So 4 or 5 months before February of
2020.
2020.
Yeah.
And when she approached you on this late evening / early morning on that day, what did she tell you?
Pretty much just kind of like if I do hear anything like through the walls or whatever is out back, just kind of keep my mouth shut. Like don't really speak about it or anything like that or say anything to anyone. And I just was like, okay.
Did she make any motions with her hands?
Yeah, like just kind of like, finger over the lips, like kind of shh, like keep it hush, like that kind of thing.
So she told you not to report anything you may have heard about arguments or yelling or fighting, anything going on over there.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you recall the evening of February 23rd, 2020?
I do, yeah.
And what about that evening sticks out to you?
That sticks out to me from that night was literally just there was a very, very loud noise that I heard that was loud and powerful enough to shake my bedroom wall. And I remember that because I was sitting on my bed on FaceTime with my girlfriend at the time, and I literally felt the wall shake and it stopped me mid-conversation. And she even asked me through the computer, like, what was that? And I was like, I have no idea.
Did you hear any yelling coming from their apartment on that night?
Before that, yeah, like it was just arguing kind of stuff.
What was the last thing you heard?
The last thing I heard was like the loud noise and just a little bit of shuffling, and that was kind of it. It just kind of went silent after that.
Could you hear anything that was being said?
Not clearly, and it was never really anything clear. It was just like you could hear arguing back and forth, just kind of like an I hate you, like it's whatever it is, whatever the argument was about kind of thing. At the time, that's really all it was, but it was never really clear enough to hear like the full argument. And honestly, I never really paid attention too much to it. If I heard it, I kind of stepped into my living room to be further away from it.
Did you hear both the defendant's voice and also George Torres's voice?
Yeah, all the time. It was like a back and forth. Yeah.
So other than the statements and the phrases of I hate you, you weren't able to discern the contents of this argument?
No.
What was the last sound you heard?
The last sound that I heard was like the loud banging noise that it was like a very odd sounding noise that I've never heard before this day, but it very much sounded like it was where my bed was positioned. It was kind of towards the back of the apartment, and it almost sounded like it was coming towards me, but like on the side of me, you know. Then it was just like a loud rumbling noise, like that literally sounded like it was kind of far away from me, and then it like ended up like almost next to me. And like I said, the walls are thin, so like it's very easy to hear like through the walls, and not even just sideways. Like I hear my upstairs neighbor, like all around, very thin walls.
Now, was your bedroom, where was it located in your apartment?
The back of the apartment, so it was like there's like a little kick out next to my patio, and that's like that was my bedroom back there, like along the grass back there.
On the first floor?
On the first floor, yeah.
I have no further questions.
Any cross-examination?
Mr. Battaglia, good morning.
Good morning.
Now, you said that you lived there next to Sarah Boone and George Torres for about a year.
Yes, sir.
Are you aware that the police were called to their residence
Like,
while you were there for the year? Are you aware of any incident in which the police were called to their residence?
I had never seen anybody there, but I had had other neighbors in the complex tell me that it has been on multiple occasions. So that's why.
Just instead of what somebody else told you.
Yeah.
Just what you would observe. Did you ever, the year that you were there living next to them,
Yeah.
were you ever aware that the police were called to their residence?
No, the times that I was home, I never saw any police at the apartment there.
Right. And did you work odd hours, or you went?
Yeah, and with my schooling and stuff too, I used to have class at like 1 o'clock in the morning. So all the time I was at random moments, like just not home throughout the day and night and stuff like that. So yeah.
Do you have an opinion as to whether or not, based on your interaction with Sarah Boone?
I'm going to object.
Let me finish the question first, please.
Do you know, from your experience with Sarah Boone and your experience with George Torres, that they drank alcohol?
Yeah.
Hang on.
I'll withdraw to that question.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Are you aware that they both consumed alcohol to excess?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, of course.
Well, Vincent, I think you had testified, you may have given a statement to law enforcement,
Yes, it was one of the detectives.
a recorded statement?
Yes, I can't remember his name, but yes.
Okay, and I think it was on February 23rd of 2020.
Yeah, right around that time, yeah.
I believe you had said that
I'm going to object as to improper impeachment.
Approach. Objection's overruled for now.
Sir, would it be fair to say on that date you got home around 7 p.m.?
7 p.m.?
Yes.
Which day was this?
Sunday, February 23rd, 2020.
No, that day I actually got home from work probably around 1 or 2 o'clock or so.
In the morning?
No, in the afternoon. Because I went to work that morning at around 5 a.m.
And you said that you heard the normal yelling and arguing at about that time when you got home?
No, it was around that time, but it was really around like 10 o'clock, 10:30 is when like the arguing I could really hear clearly. It was like around 10:30 at night.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any redirect?
Just very briefly.
Yes, sir.
So on cross-examination, you were asked about the arguing you heard, and I believe your testimony was that it was pretty intense around 10:30.
Yeah.
Approximately what time was it that you heard this loud crashing thump sound that you described?
Little after that.
Overruled.
It was a little after that arguing and stuff. It was probably around 11:15, probably 30, 45 minutes after like the arguing I could hear started.
No other questions?
Can this witness be released?
Yes, John.
Yeah, my name is Brandon Moats, BRANDONMOATS.
Thank you. Mr. Cacciatore, you may inquire.
Good afternoon, sir. Now,
Good afternoon.
can you tell us how it is that you knew Sarah Boone?
I moved into the apartment next door to her when I was in college.
And so, when was that you were in college?
I would have moved down here in 2019 and would have been there until like 2021, 2022.
So she was your neighbor at Tealwood Apartments, is that correct?
Yeah, it would have been Tealwood back then, yeah.
And did you have any roommates back then?
Yes, I was rooming with Vincent Battaglia.
And during that time, what were you doing?
Like,
As far as work and school? And
I was just going to school. During the time of this, yeah, I would have just been going to school. I don't think I would have had my job yet. I was just a student.
Did you have much interaction with the defendant or with Jorge Torres in this case?
Honestly, I avoided them as much as possible usually.
The apartment where you lived, tell us, how would you describe the walls that separated
So,
your units?
yeah, I remember that my bedroom was like the front-facing bedroom, and our walls shared a wall with where their staircase was. So, like, the way the apartments were laid out, we had a one-story apartment, they had a two-story apartment, so they had a staircase running right next to the walls next to, like, our bedrooms.
Would you ever have occasion to hear arguing and yelling going on inside of the defendant's apartment?
Yes, the walls were pretty thin, so if people were yelling, you could definitely hear it.
And how often would you hear arguments or disagreements going on over there?
When I first moved in, it was at least like once a week, to the point that I started tuning them out. Like I got good enough at just like not listening to them. They argued very, very often.
Do you recall the evening of February 23rd, 2020?
Yes, sir.
And on that evening, could you hear arguing going on in their unit?
Not late into the evening, earlier into the evening, probably like 7, 8 o'clock that evening, probably. Like earlier on, I could hear arguing.
And where were you inside of your apartment?
I would have been in my bedroom pretty much all night.
And your bedroom, just so that we can paint the picture, where would that would that have been, on the first floor or the second floor?
We had a first floor apartment.
Okay, so all the units were, or all the bedrooms were on the first floor.
Yeah, like I was saying before, we had a one-story apartment, and then they next door had like a two-story townhouse, so we only had the one floor.
Understood. And at a certain point in the evening, did you hear a loud crashing sound?
Yeah, probably around 10:30, 11 o'clock that evening.
And can you describe that sound for us in more detail?
I mean, yeah, literally, like I said, at like 10:30, 11 o'clock, it's The way their staircase was set up, I could, my bedroom, the top of their staircase would have been like above my ceiling, and then it ends next to where like my roommate's apartment was. So I could hear something start above me super loud and then fall away from me, like it was falling down the stairs.
Did this affect the walls that were between your two apartments?
Oh yeah, me and my roommate. I remember me and my roommate talking the next day about like we could literally like it shook both of our rooms.
Did you ever have occasion to talk with the defendant about what happened?
I never saw her after that. She would have. Yeah, I never saw her after that happened.
No further questions.
Any cross-examination?
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, you were asked by the state if you ever had any interactions with Sarah Boone or Jorge Torres. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And I think you said you tried to avoid them.
Yeah. I don't like drunk people, and they were drunk a lot, so I did not interact with them.
Okay. Do you remember this interaction with Sarah Boone in 2009 when you woke up and witnessed Sarah
I
sleep?
would have been 9 years old in 2009.
I'm sorry, 2019. Good catch. In 2019, when you woke up and witnessed Sarah sleeping on the concrete patio.
Oh, this may have been a slight misconception in how I said this. I never woke up and saw her sitting on the patio myself. That I would have seen her on the patio eventually, but it's not like I woke up and went back and saw her on the patio. This was my roommate relaying the story that she had fallen asleep on the back patio, and then I saw her.
Okay. So you did not witness that yourself, or did you see her?
I saw her asleep on the back patio. I was just clearing up the sequence of events there.
Okay, thank you. Another time, do you recall our interaction with Miss Boone when you were coming home from school and she was trying to talk to you and she seemed paranoid and rambling?
Yeah, I had gotten locked out of my apartment, so I was waiting on the steps waiting on the steps outside of my apartment for my roommate to get home. So she came up and started talking to me. I don't really remember too many details of what she was saying, because I didn't want to talk to her. But yeah.
Okay. Do you remember saying that you believe Sarah was avoiding going into her apartment?
That's definitely the vibe. I don't remember what she was saying, but the vibe she was giving off was that she didn't want to go home.
Now, I believe, and I just want to make sure that I heard you. You said that the first arguments, other than the Boone, which was 10-something, initially it was around 7 p.m. You heard arguing?
It would have, yeah, because it would have been. I remember that day I got home from class around 5, because I got out of class around 4:30 usually and walked home, so I would have gotten home around 5:30, and it would have been after because I came home, I made myself lunch, and I took a shower, and then I heard all of their arguing, so it would have been about an hour and a half, 2 hours after I got home, so around 7 to 8 o'clock.
And during that time, when you say arguing, was it back and forth?
Honestly, I wouldn't really be able to say if it was back and forth. I don't know I wouldn't remember too vividly if it was back and forth. Or if it was
Let me
just
ask you
one
this:
person
if you
yelling.
hear a male voice,
Yes, I heard a male voice.
Did you hear a female voice?
Yes.
Okay. Were they both loud?
Yes.
Okay. If I can confirm, Judge.
Yes, sir, of course.
Thank you, sir. I have no further questions.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Can this witness be released?
Yes, Your Honor.
Subject to recall, Judge.
All right. All right, sir, you're released subject to recall. Thank you.
You know, when he first walked up, wasn't sure about him, but I like Brandon. He's like, I tried my best to avoid her, and he didn't want anything to do with her. So, he can hang out with us, that's for sure.
State call Brian Boone.
Mr. Boone, raise your right hand and be sworn, please. If you swear or affirm that the testimony you give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes. Sir, good afternoon. You could be seated. After seated, if you could please state and spell your name for the record for us.
Brian Boone, B-R-I-A-N-B-O-O-N-E.
Thank you, sir. You may inquire.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Can you tell us how it is that you know the defendant?
I dated her for quite a while, and then we eventually got married.
When you say you dated her for quite a while, how long are we talking?
I met her in the late 90s, and I believe it was around 2005 when we got married.
Did you have any children as a result of your marriage with the defendant?
Yes, we had one son.
And how old is that son?
He is currently getting ready to turn 14.
Did your marriage with the defendant last?
And no, it did not.
And approximately when was it that you separated and began proceedings for a divorce?
Probably 2017, I'm thinking maybe.
And at that time, when was your divorce actually finalized?
Maybe it was 2006. I think the divorce was 2017, I believe.
And after your divorce, what was your custody arrangement with your son that you had in common with the defendant?
She was supposed to have him on Mondays and Tuesdays. I would have him Wednesday, Thursdays, and then we'd alternate Friday through Sundays every other week.
So 1 week you would have 5 days with your son, and another week she would have 5 days with him.
Correct.
And was this still the same custody arrangement in February of 2020?
Yes.
And in February of 2020, did you have, do you recall the events that occurred, I guess, first on the late evening of February 23rd, 2020?
On that evening?
Yes.
Well, apparently, Sarah called me at one point during the night.
Do you recall about what time she called you?
I think it was 11 something.
When you answered the phone, how did Sarah sound on the phone?
She sounded like she had been drinking and was pretty drunk.
Were you able to understand what the defendant was saying?
Somewhat, but she woke me up. I had work the next day. I was asleep when she called. She's done this before, calling me late at night, and generally I kind of just try to ignore it, so I wasn't really paying attention.
Who was she living with at the time?
Jorge Torres?
When she called you late that evening, could you hear George in the background at all?
Not that I remember, no.
Did you pay much attention to this phone call?
No.
Now, the following morning, on February 24th, 2020, did you begin to call the defendant?
Yes, I did.
And approximately what time did you begin to call the defendant?
I think it was like 11 o'clock or something.
And why was it that you were calling her?
Well, it was going to be Monday. I had him on Sunday and dropped him off at school, and I was calling to try to find out if she was going to be actually picking him up that day.
Why would you have a question about whether or not she was picking him up?
She wasn't generally very good about actually getting him on the days she was supposed to.
So it was not uncommon for you to have to remind her to pick him up or to make sure that she was going to pick him up?
Well, I mean, remind or just find out if she was going to, or if she was just going to give him over to me as what happened.
Do you remember at what time on February 24th you actually got in touch with the defendant?
I think it was like 12:30 or something.
And when you actually got in touch with her, what did she tell you on the phone?
That George was dead, and if I would come over.
Did she say what happened to him?
I don't remember if she told me then on the phone or when I got there, but she told me they had been playing hide and seek and that she fell asleep.
What did you advise her to do?
I told her she needed to call 911 and that I would come over as soon as I could.
And this is on your first phone call here at approximately 12:30.
Yes.
On 2/24/2020.
Yes.
Did she call you again while you were en route to her residence?
She did. She called to find out if I was still going to be coming over.
And when you spoke with her while you were en route, what, if anything, did you advise her?
I told her she needed to call 911 and told her I was on my way, but she needed to get somebody over there.
How long did it take you to arrive at her residence?
From the first phone call, or?
Yes, from the first one.
Well, I mean, I live a minute or two drive away, but I had to get my puppy. We had just gotten a puppy recently. I had to get him in his crate and stuff like that and put something on because I was working from home. And total time, maybe 10 minutes.
When you arrived at her apartment, tell us what she told you when you arrived.
George was dead, and once again, I don't remember if she told me now or before that they had been playing hide and seek and she fell asleep, but I, at that time, told her again she needed to get 911 called to get somebody over there.
Had she called 911 at this point?
No, she had not.
So you've advised her now 3 times to call 911.
Yes.
Did you go inside of her apartment?
I walked in the front door into the little tiled area, like entranceway thing.
What, if anything, did you observe when you made it to that point?
Looking into the living room, I could see like the end of his feet and maybe a little bit of some legs that were kind of coming out around the backside of the kitchen area.
Did you continue to go into the apartment?
No.
Where did you go?
Sarah told me she was going to call 911 and go outside and have a cigarette and a drink, and asked me to come out there with her. And I told her that I didn't really feel comfortable being inside, and I went out front and got in my car and waited for people to show up.
Did you witness the defendant call 911?
I think I was in there when she dialed it and first got somebody on the phone, but I wasn't there for the whole conversation. No, I was outside.
Did you stay there at the scene while police arrived?
Yes, I was there. I was part of it. I knew I'd have to talk to somebody, so
Did you talk with law enforcement?
I did.
Your Honor, I have no further questions at this time.
Thank you. Any cross-examination?
Judge, we want to reserve our questions for when we call in our case.
Okay. All right, sir. You're subject to recall.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I guess we get to see Brian again. He seems like a nice guy. I mean, I thought that initially from his, interviews with detectives, as well as the body cam from the deputy. He definitely escaped. He escaped Sarah. I mean, even though she's still kind of a part of his world because they share a son together, but it's really sad to me that she now has a 14-year-old son, and he's had to live with all this for almost 5 years. So it's a crazy existence for him, and I hear he's moved, and I'm sure that that helps him in school because kids are never good. I'm sure they pick on him if they found out who his mom is.
Publix 3.
You may do so.
It's 300 minutes. Call on Monday, February 24th, 2020.
911, what is the location of your emergency?
4748 Branch Court, apartment 3.
4748, what's the street name?
Branch, F-R-A-N-T-D.
And the apartment number?
3.
Is this a police or medical?
My boyfriend is dead.
Okay, send a line for the fire department. Do not hang up. That's good.
No, please don't leave.
4748 France Lane, apartment 3.
Branch Court.
France Court.
Yes.
Okay, is this near Mackenzie Drive?
I don't know where that is.
Okay, fine.
It's Gilwood Park Apartment.
Okay, 4748 France, correct?
Correct.
All right, correct. Now tell me exactly what happened there.
My boyfriend and I were playing last night, and I tried him in his case when we were playing, and but kind of hide and seek kind of thing. So I fell asleep, and I woke up, and he was dead in the suitcase. So I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened.
Right, okay, what's your apartment number?
3.
Apartment 3?
Yes, like he had like blood coming out of his mouth, and I don't know, like he had like an aneurysm on what, nothing.
Right, okay, listen, we're getting out of 13. All right, okay. Okay,
Now?
Okay, 40, yeah, listen, we're on our way up there. You're at 407-716-8684. Okay, is he hanging from somewhere or what, ma'am?
No, I pulled him out of the suitcase. I tried giving him CPR.
Okay, so he was in a suitcase?
Yes, and I fell asleep.
Okay, how old is he working, ma'am? 42-year-old man. All right. Okay, we're setting up on the sheriff's office over out there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. All right, listen to me. Okay, that you need to confirm this one. No, right, I just need to confirm this. Is he awake at all? Is he conscious at all?
No. He's purple.
Is he breathing?
No.
All right. I need you to get him on the floor, flat on his back for me, okay?
I did. I tried giving him CPR.
All right.
I tried giving him CPR.
Yeah, okay.
No, nothing happened. He's purple.
Okay, listen to me. There's a definition of the bill. I need you to get it for me, okay?
What is it?
Do you have an AED available?
No.
All right. Are you right by him now?
I'm sorry?
Are you right by him now?
Yes.
Okay, ma'am, listen, so this, is he cold and stiff?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, he's not necessarily cold, but he's stiff.
Right, okay. All right, listen to me. Listen to me. I want you to lay him flat on his back for me on the floor.
I did.
Removing the pillows, okay?
Yes, I did.
All right, okay. Wait.
Stiff and purple.
Right, okay, listen. Okay, man, that's fine. We're still going to put compression to him, okay? All right? Take the heel of your hand on his breastbone, right in center of the chest, right between the nipples.
Yes.
Put your hands up on that hand.
Betty, I'm telling you. Just like that, I can tell.
Okay.
Please, okay, your girdle.
Okay. Listen to me. All right. I want you to place the heel of your hand. Okay, right between his chest, right between his breastbones.
Yes.
Put your other hand up on that hand.
Yes.
We want to pump his chest to be hard and fast. Going to live twice per second.
I'm doing it again.
Okay, no, just keep on pumping. That's all you need to do for me. Keep on pumping his chest for me. I don't need you to stop and talk or anything. I just want you to count on blood for me, okay?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. This is nice to me.
Okay, man, just keep on pumping his chest. That's all you need to do for me, okay?
Yes. Come on, please, hurry up.
Okay, ma'am, they're driving here as fast as they can. Okay, don't stop to say hurry up. Just keep on pumping and counting.
I'm still doing it while I'm talking to you, okay?
Okay.
Still doing it.
All right, just keep pumping his chest. Count on, I'll take a count with you.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. Please hurry.
Okay, man, they're getting there as fast as they can, okay?
He's stiff and he's purple.
Okay. Begin pumping his chest for me, ma'am.
I'm still doing it, okay? Still doing it. Just don't make me concept.
Right, okay, that's fine. You did a good job. Just keep on doing it for me. That's all right. They're getting there as fast as they can, along with the sheriff's office also, okay?
Please.
Okay. Keep on pumping, man. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep on pumping for me, man.
I'm doing it. Believe me, I'm doing it, okay? We're playing hide and seek.
So, all right, I understand. All right, just keep on pumping for me, okay? Okay.
Please hurry.
Right, okay.
Horrible. This is horrific. What happened? Like, what happened?
Okay, man, keep on pumping the chest for me, okay? They're in the parking lot. They should be up there shortly, okay?
I'm still doing it, okay?
All right, okay, good. And you found them in a suitcase, you said?
Yes. We were playing hide and seek last night. I fell asleep. I think they're here.
Right, just keep on pumping the chest until they take over, okay?
I am.
Okay. Okay. take over for you, okay?
When was the last time anybody saw him? The last time. We're playing hide and seek. He was the potato. Okay. But unfortunately, he stood down too long to the front of the recording. Hello, ma'am.
And so we're there, obviously.
I'm working for a speaker board. Okay. Is there anything on the board? No. No. Hello?
Hey, man, the time for us to take care of you, okay? Okay, so we'll see you there.
All right. Oh, ma'am, is still there? Hello? Contact 407-716-8684, reference to mobile 1308. Call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system. 4.
Ma'am, who do you work for?
I'm employed with the Orange County Sheriff's Office.
What is your position with the Orange County Sheriff's Office?
Currently, I am a forensic biologist with the forensics unit. Prior to this, I was a crime scene investigator for 5 years.
And how long in total have you been with the Orange County Sheriff's Office?
About 6.5 years.
And tell us all the positions you've held during that time.
Those two, a crime scene investigator and a forensic biologist.
Let's turn to your work as a crime scene investigator. What does a crime scene investigator do?
We respond to crime scenes. We photograph and document those crime scenes through photographs, notes, and sometimes sketches. We collect evidence, we process the scene, and then we do further processing to that evidence back at our forensics lab.
When you say process the evidence or process the scene, can you tell us what that entails?
It depends on the scene and the evidence, but it includes the photographs. We also take swabs for potential DNA. We can also do testing for possible blood and things like that. We also process for latent fingerprints, among other things.
What type of training did you need in order to become a crime scene investigator?
Upon being hired with the Sheriff's Office, as a CSI, I completed a 16-week training program, which includes in-house processing as well as going out to crime scenes with trained crime scene investigators to observe and then assist, as well as taking on calls with the trained crime scene investigator.
Approximately how many crime scenes have you processed in the course of your time as a CSI?
It would be hundreds. I don't know the exact amount.
Were you working in this capacity as a CSI on February 24th, 2020?
Yes, I was.
And tell us, where did you respond out to on that day?
I responded to 4748 Franz Court, Apartment 3.
And is that in Orange County, Florida?
Yes, it is.
And when you responded to that scene, whom did you make contact with?
I made contact with the homicide detective, Chelsea Kepsel.
Did you receive information from the detective?
Yes, that it was a death investigation.
Did you walk the scene with the detective?
Yes.
And tell us, what does it mean to walk the scene with the detective in a homicide?
We go into the scene and just observe. We don't interact with anything and discuss what we see.
When you walked this scene, did you see Jorge Torres?
Yes, I did.
And where was he located?
He was located on the floor in the living room of the apartment.
Did you, with the detective, identify potential items of evidence to be collected?
Yes.
You had mentioned previously about documenting scenes with photographs. Was that done in this case?
Yes, it was.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness who's been marked for identification as States M and been shown to defense?
You may.
Ma'am, I'm showing you who's been marked for identification as States M. Can you take a look at the contents of State M to yourself and tell me if you recognize the items contained within States M?
Yes.
You recognize the contents of States M.
Yes, I do.
Tell us, what is the contents of State M?
They are photographs I took on the crime scene.
Do they fairly and accurately represent how that crime scene appeared on February 24th, 2020?
Yes, they do.
Your Honor, at this time, I'd like to move what's previously been marked for identification as States M into evidence.
How many photographs are there? Do you have a total?
111.
No objection.
All right. What was pre-marked as States M will be received into evidence without objection as States 8.
And Your Honor, request permission to publish.
You may.
Your Honor, could we have the lights dimmed?
Yes.
And I'm first going to publish to you, as part of States M, picture photo number 4. Tell us, what is this?
This is the front door to the residence.
Stage 5.
This is also the front door of the residence, just a closer image to the door.
When you enter the residence, what is the first area just off to the right of the front door?
That would be the kitchen.
Showing you it's been marked as states 11.
Yes, so this is just inside the door. To the right, there is the kitchen area.
Showing you stage 14.
Yes.
What is this a photo of?
So this is the counter with the sink in the kitchen, and there's also the open area just above where you can see into the living room.
Showing you from States Composite, photo 19.
Yes.
What is this?
This is a hutch inside the kitchen. You can see in the background that is where that first photo of the kitchen was taken. So that's the entryway. And then this is the hutch, and there is a cell phone on the hutch in the kitchen.
Showing you stage 22.
This is the trash can in the kitchen. You can also see the hutch we were just looking at there on the side.
Stage 23.
This is the contents of the trash can. You can see 2 wine bottles on the top of the trash.
Did you also find receipts in that trash can as well?
Yes.
Photo 25 from the composite.
These are those same wine bottles and 3 Publix receipts that were removed from the trash can.
Did you take these items and collect them into evidence in this case?
Yes, I did.
Photo 32 from the composite.
Yes, this is just in further into that entryway. You can see the living room.
Photo 35 from the composite.
This is another photo of the living room. You can see the victim located on the floor and a suitcase in the bottom corner of the photograph.
Photo 36.
This is another photograph in the living room. This is that wall we saw in the kitchen there with the opening. You can also see a wooden baseball bat leaning against the wall.
Was that baseball bat collected into evidence in this case?
Yes, it was.
Photo 38.
This is, excuse me. This is also a photograph of the living room, just the other side of the room.
Photo 43 from the composite.
Yes. This photograph was taken in the living room. You can see the stairs leading to the second floor.
Photograph 45.
This is a photograph of the living room just from the other side of the room. You can see the front door in the middle back of the photo.
Photo 49 from the composite.
This is a more close-up photograph of the suitcase.
Photo 50.
This is a photograph of one of the zippers on the suitcase.
Photograph 51.
This is a close-up picture of that same zipper. There is no zipper pull on it. It appeared to be a small wire of some sort, the pink wrapped around the zipper. This is the zipper on the other side of the suitcase.
Just for the record, that's photograph 52. States 53 from this composite.
The close-up image of that same zipper. There is also no zipper pull on that one.
Photo 54 from the composite.
This is the contents of the suitcase after just lifting the lid.
Photo 56 from the composite.
More of a close-up image of the items. There were miscellaneous papers and paperwork, some clothing items, and apparent blood inside the suitcase.
What items, what apparent blood was inside the suitcase?
It was observed on the white cap and a necktie, and there was also visible blood just on the interior of the suitcase.
Photo 57 from the composite.
The contents of the suitcase, but you can see the white cap more clearly and the blood observed on it.
58 from the composite.
You can see the necktie with blood. It appeared to be silver multicolored. And then there's also a diazepam syringe in the plastic casing there. It was prescribed to the victim.
Photo 61 from the composite.
That is the miscellaneous papers and paperwork that was removed from the suitcase.
Photo 62 from the composite.
That's the suitcase after all of the items were removed.
Photo 64 from the composite.
Yes, that is what appeared to be some like small pieces of paper that appeared to be soaked with blood.
Is this inside of the suitcase?
Yes.
Photo 65 from the composite.
That is the baseball bat that was leaning against the wall in the living room.
Photo 68 from the composite.
This is back to the stairs to the second floor in the living room.
Photo 69 from the composite.
So it's moving closer to the stairs to the second floor.
Photo 70 from the composite.
Photographing more of the staircase. These are the steps leading to the second floor before I proceed up to the second floor.
This is photo 71 for the record. Photo 72 from the composite.
The upper portion of the stairs leading to the second floor.
How many bedrooms were on the second floor of the unit?
There were 2 bedrooms.
Photo 75 from the composite. What is this?
This is the hallway. You can see a closet in the hallway and then the door to one of the bedrooms.
Does this appear to be a child's room?
Yes, it did.
Photo 79 from the composite.
This is a photograph within the child's bedroom.
Photo 86 from the composite.
This is the door leading to the other bedroom upstairs.
Did this other bedroom also contain a bathroom?
Yes, it did.
photo 90 from the composite.
This is the bed within that bedroom.
Photo 97 from the composite.
This is the bathroom.
In that master bedroom upstairs.
Yes.
Did you also have an occasion to photograph the defendant?
Yes, I did.
You see the defendant here in court today.
Yes, I do.
Could you please point to them and identify our article of clothing they're wearing?
She is right there with a black blazer and a pink shirt.
Your Honor, may the record reflect that the witnesses identified the defendant?
Record so reflect.
Showing you photo 98 from the composite.
This is the photograph I took of the defendant.
Why is it that you are photographing the defendant at this point?
I collected her buccal swabs, which is a DNA standard from the inside of the mouth, and it is part of our procedure to photograph that person for identification purposes.
Do you also document the rest of her body as well at that time?
Yes, I did.
Publishing photograph 101 from State's Composite.
This is a photograph of her hands facing upward.
Photograph 102.
This is her right hand facing upward.
Photograph 103.
Her left hand facing upward.
Photograph 104.
Both of her hands facing downward, so the tops of her hands.
Photograph 105.
This is her right hand facing downward.
Photograph 106.
And her left hand facing downward.
Photograph 107.
This would be of her right arm.
Photograph 108.
Her left arm.
Photograph 109.
Her right arm with it facing upward.
Photograph 110.
Her left arm with her arm facing upward.
During the time you were interacting with the defendant, did she ever indicate to you that she had any injuries?
No.
You had previously testified that you also collected physical items of evidence from the home as well, in this case.
Yes, I did.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness who has been marked for identification as State C and been shown to defense?
You may.
Ma'am, I'm assuming you was marked for identification as State C. Can you take a look at that package for me?
Yes.
Do you recognize that package?
Yes, I do.
And tell us, what is that package?
These are the 2 wine bottles that were collected from the trash can.
Is your name on that package?
Yes, my name is on the Orange County Sheriff's Office evidence label that I filled out, and my initials are on the evidence seal from when I sealed the package.
And it also has your agency case number and the location information for this case.
Yes, that is correct.
Ma'am, could you open the contents of States C and look at it to yourself?
Pull them out to recognize the item. They're wrapped in paper.
Sure, just how the view from the point. What is the contents of State C?
These are the 2 wine bottles that I collected from the trash can.
Are these wine bottles in the same or substantially the same condition as they were at the time that you packaged them on February 24th, 2020?
Yes, the same time I collected them that day.
Your Honor, at this time I'd like to move what's previously been marked for identification as States C into evidence.
Any objections?
No objection.
What was pre-marked as State C will be received into evidence as States 9 without objection.
And Your Honor, request permission to publish.
You may do so.
You can unwrap them now. You can put them back. occasion to collect the baseball bat from the living room?
Yes, I did.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness who's been previously marked for identification as states B and shown to defense?
You may.
Ma'am, I'm showing you it's been marked for identification as states B. Can you take a look at this item?
Yes.
Do you recognize this item?
Yes, I do. This is the wooden baseball bat I collected from the living room.
Does this item have your name on it?
Yes, it has my name on the Orange County Sheriff's Office evidence label that I filled out, as well as my initials on the evidence seal.
And it also has your initials and your agency case number as well.
Yes, it does.
Ma'am, can you open states B and look at the contents of it to yourself without displaying it to the court?
Yes.
What is contained within states B?
The wooden baseball bat.
And is that bat in the same or substantially the same condition as it was at the time that you collected it on February 24, 2020?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, at this time I'd like to move what's previously been marked for identification as states B into evidence.
Any objection?
No objection.
What was pre-marked as B will be received into evidence as states 10 without objection.
Your Honor, request permission to publish.
You may.
You also had an occasion to collect a suitcase as well in this case.
Yes, I did.
Prior to placing the suitcase into evidence, did you process it?
I took measurements of the suitcase.
What are the measurements of the suitcase?
It was 28 inches in length, 20 inches wide, and 8 7/8 inches deep.
Your Honor, at this time, may the witness step down from the stand and approach the clerk's area.
Yes.
Ma'am, I'm showing you what's been marked for identification as States A. Tell me, do you recognize this item?
Yes, I do.
Tell us, what is this item?
This is the suitcase I collected from the living room.
And how is it that you know that this is the suitcase you collected from the living room?
It has the Orange County Sheriff's Office evidence label that I labeled with the item description. It also contains my name and the agency case number, and my initials are also on the evidence sheet.
Ma'am, at this time, could you open States A and look at the contents of it to yourself?
Yes.
What is inside of States A?
This is the suitcase I collected from the living room.
And does it appear to be in the same or substantially the same condition as the time that you collected it and placed it into evidence?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, I'd like to move what's been marked for identification as States A into evidence.
Any objections?
No objection.
What was pre-marked as A will be received into evidence without objection as States 11.
And Your Honor, at this time, I'd ask for permission to publish States A to the jury.
You may.
Can you open the inside of it? How easy is it to operate the zipper that closes the suitcase?
It was a little difficult.
I have no additional questions at this time.
Thank you. Any cross-examination?
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Are you also referred to as a medical examiner investigator as opposed to just crime scene investigator?
No, that is not my title.
Do you do reports that the medical examiner necessarily relies upon in the process of doing the autopsy and additional investigations?
You would have to ask them.
Who makes the decision at the scene as to what items will be photographed and what items will be taken into custody and what items will necessarily be tested or analyzed?
That's a collaborative effort between the crime scene investigator and the lead detective while on scene.
That would be yourself, and who was the lead detective?
The lead detective was Chelsea Kepsel.
Now, you authored a report in this matter, did you not?
Yes.
And that report was utilized, if you in fact know, by the medical examiner in developing her autopsy report, was it not?
I do not know.
In your report, did you advise the medical, or whomever might read your report, that in fact the body had been removed from the suitcase by first offenders or first responders?
No, I don't believe so.
And we know that you have the capacity to do DNA analysis, correct?
No, we process DNA or collect swabs for DNA, and then that's submitted to the Florida Department of Law Enforcement for conventional DNA analysis.
You did that with a sample from the inside of Sarah Boone's mouth.
Her buccal swabs were submitted to the FDLE.
And who made that decision?
The detective and I.
Who made the decision not to bother to do a DNA analysis on the blood from the items within the suitcase or the suitcase itself?
That was a discussion between the detective and I.
And you chose not to do that?
No, we did not.
You assumed that the blood inside the suitcase belonged to Jorge Torres, correct?
There was blood observed in the suitcase.
But you don't know who that belonged to because you didn't bother to analyze it or have it analyzed, correct?
The blood was not tested.
Now, State's Exhibit B, the bat, you took that into evidence. Was that again a collaborative decision by yourself and the lead detective?
Yes.
And what efforts did you make to have the bat analyzed, given the fact that it was apparently evidence?
It was just collected as evidence from the scene.
Did you advise either the lead detective or anybody else involved with this investigation that there may be matters that could be analyzed when analyzing the bat that would help or assist in the investigation of this matter?
It's my job to do the documentation and the collection of evidence.
Well, you said it was a collaborative effort between yourself and the lead detective, so did you participate in that decision?
We chose to collect the bat and put it into evidence.
And so there was a fiber analysis done on the bat to determine whether or not it was used to strike Jorge Torres when he was in the suitcase, was there not?
Pardon?
In fact, there was not, was it? There was no effort to analyze the bat.
I'm going to object. I don't believe the witness had an opportunity to answer the question.
Sustained.
I'm sorry. Please.
Can you repeat the question?
If I can remember it, I will. Do you know that there was any effort made in this particular investigation, the investigation of Sarah Boone, to analyze the bat for fibers?
No, there was not.
And why was that not done?
It was not done.
You indicated that you had some interaction with Ms. Boone, is that correct?
I collected her buccal swabs.
Did you speak with her?
In collecting her buccal swabs, yes.
Did you speak to any other witnesses?
No.
Did you make any determination of other matters that might be of import or evidentiary value when you were going through the house and taking photographs and documenting the interior of the townhouse?
You'll have to be more specific.
Well, how many pictures of the child's bedroom did we see?
Here today,
Yes, ma'am.
we saw the entrance to the bedroom as well as a photograph of the interior of the bedroom.
What was the evidentiary value of that?
It's my job to photograph and document while on scene, so the rooms in the upstairs were photographed and documented.
Did you photograph holes in the wall, possibly made by the victim?
I don't recall photographing holes in the wall, no.
Did you take photographs of items within the house or throughout the house that may have depicted incidents of prior violence?
You'll have to be more specific.
How about bloody pillowcases? Did you make any effort to collect and analyze pillowcases of the rooms that you were photographing?
No.
Who made you have significant experience with zippers?
I use zippers regularly, yes.
Enough to have an opinion as to whether or not a zipper is stuck or not.
Is what? Sorry?
You testified on direct that the zipper was a little tight.
Just that it was difficult without the zipper pulls to use the zipper.
And that was your opinion.
Yes, from opening the suitcase here today.
Today, you only tested it today?
Pardon?
You only today have for the first time tested the ability to pull open the zipper on the suitcase?
No, I'm saying it was difficult today.
A redirect examination.
Yes, Your Honor. In this case, you documented the entirety of the house as you saw it.
Yes.
So every room in the house,
They were all taken overall photographs.
walls in the house.
In the overall photographs, yes, they weren't all individually photographed, no.
And you did not document or note any type of holes in the wall or any type of damage to the walls, anything like that.
Not the walls, no.
Is that something that would have been documented both photographically and also within your report?
Yes.
You also, as we've previously seen in the composite, saw the victim where he was laying in this case, correct?
Yes.
Was the victim, did he have blood on his mouth and on his face?
Yes, he did.
Did he have open wounds on his body?
There was blood coming from his nose and his mouth. There was also some other areas, like defects noted on his body.
You also made contact with the defendant, too, as well.
Yes.
Did you note any other wounds or cuts or anything else that was not documented that you haven't testified to?
No.
So, no wounds, nothing on her?
Not that I recall, no.
No further questions?
Thank you. Can this witness be released?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Owens, can this witness be released?
Judge, we'd like her to be on call.
Subject to recall, ma'am. Thank you.
Well, I thought the former CSI, now she's a forensic biologist, Melissa, I think she did excellent. I think she sounds very competent in her job, and obviously Sarah's team is trying to discredit them for not checking the walls and pillows, and it sounds like to me they did a thorough search and documentation of that townhome, that condo, and they got plenty of photos and evidence to substantiate that. The day one witnesses, I think, were, again, I think you had some that were just trying to establish the timeline and the way things went. Then you had the neighbors who talked about constant arguing that George and Sarah had. And then, of course, hearing noises that evening, early morning hours, which was unusual. Then you had, the supervisor of the maintenance supervisor who mentioned that he, heard a lot from the two of them, and he has a kind of a history with George, which is still weird, but I don't think he has any outright ill will to just lie or any of the sort. Let's see. You also had, the Publix assistant manager, which that was just to establish that there's receipts, and I believe they also had camera footage of them. I don't know if we'll see that during the trial. His younger brother, George's younger brother, Juan, he kind of broke my heart a little bit. Again, it's a big family. They do have issues. George has another brother who is involved in criminal in crime, but again, they had a lot of issues with Sarah, and I think that his talking about the texts that he received from Sarah really stand out to me. Then we have again Brian Boone, a very important witness. He dated Sarah, married Sarah. You know, they have a child together. So that's pretty important. And he is going to come back because he's also going to be testifying as a defense witness. The deputies, Kayla Rodriguez and Deputy John Martinez, they were the two on the scene. Deputy Rodriguez, she was the main one that we saw on the majority of the body cams early on and then during the trial, because she's the one that talked to and interacted with Sarah the most. And I think she did an excellent job, considering Sarah's out there begging for her Dr. Pepper, for a cigarette, that she's thirsty and she's drinking out of the water spigot. It's a lot to deal with when you're talking to Sarah Boone. And I think the ending on the note of the CSI investigator there, it's a very good ending to day one for the state. And seeing that suitcase, as much as we all knew it was small, but I mean, seeing it in that courtroom, and I can't imagine how the jury thought of it, and seeing it in person. It's a small carry-on suitcase. How even George at 103 pounds fit in that luggage, I have no idea. It must have been an awful, awful death, and I just can't imagine. And as far as I'm concerned, Sarah tortured him. She put him in there. He suffocated to death. We saw the zipper was hard to open and close. And she beat him with the bat. And I think she also kicked it or pushed it down the stairs. So I think there is a lot of evidence that we've already known about. But this is all solidifying what we already suspected. And I can't foresee Sarah wiggling her way out of this at all. So let me know your guys' thoughts on the first day of testimony. And with that said and done, that's all I've got for this one. I hope you have a great rest of the day. And most of all, stay safe.